Ever look up at the night sky and kind of get that shiver down your spine? Like, what if someone's looking back, you know?
I totally know what you mean. It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? And today we're diving into some pretty wild stories about UFOs and aliens.
Right. And what's really cool is it's not just like blurry photos or those kind of campfire tales.
Yeah.
This deep dive, it gets into some really personal experiences and,
Yeah.
and stuff about ancient cultures and even some researchers who are trying to, get all scientific about this whole thing.
It's really exciting, the blend of perspectives. You're right. It makes you think, it makes you rethink like what we think we know about, well, everything really.
Yeah, exactly. And the jumping off point for all this is a blog post. It's called "It Was Aliens" by this guy Shaman Jon Rasmussen. He's got this whole thing going on with spirituality and aliens.
That's what caught my eye too. It's a combination you don't see every day, that's for sure. It really makes you think about how we see things, like how we see the world and what could be out there that we're just missing.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just jump right in. So
Yeah.
the blog starts with this guy Alberto Vieldo. He's a shaman too, and he had this crazy experience in Peru.
Oh yeah, with the orbs of light. I remember this one. He was with his teacher, this Karo master shaman, Don Manuel Quispe, and Alberto wakes up and there are all these orbs just circling his tent.
Whoa, hold on. Out in the Peruvian highlands? No way. Talk about a creepy wake-up call. I'd be freaking out.
Right. But what's really wild is how Don Manuel reacts, He's totally calm, like it's no big deal. And then the next day, he just casually mentions to Alberto, "Oh, those were just our star brothers and sisters, beings from another planet,
Yeah.
and they're connected to the Karo tribe."
Whoa. Hold up a sec. So not just some random aliens cruising by, but beings that have this like special link to this specific tribe.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're talking.
It gets you thinking, right? Like, what kind of connection are we even talking about here? Is it ancient history stuff? Like, did they like help start the tribe or something? Or is it even like weirder than that? I mean, who knows?
I have so many questions, and get this, it gets even weirder. So later on, Alberto overhears these UFO researchers talking, right?
Yeah.
And he thinks, oh, Don Manuel's going to like love this. He's going to want to share all his secrets with these guys. So he brings them over all excited.
And Don Manuel totally shuts them down.
Yeah. He's like, nope, not interested.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think, because Don Manuel tells Alberto he's not interested in the quote, aliens that come in buses, meaning like spaceships. He's interested in the ones that travel through a tear in time and space.
Hold on. Did he just say like a rip in the fabric of reality? Okay, now we're going full on sci-fi here. This is wild.
It is pretty wild, but it does raise some interesting questions, like could he be talking about like different kinds of aliens, like different species, or maybe they come from different like dimensions, or even like different points in time? I don't even know where to start with this.
I know, right? It's like comparing, I don't know, us flying in planes today to like instantly teleporting across the world. One's just normal science. The other one is like straight up magic.
Exactly. And you know what? This idea of messing with space and time, it's not totally out there, Like physicists, they talk about stuff like wormholes. Like maybe these beings, they've figured out physics way beyond anything we can even imagine, and they can like jump through time and space like it's nothing.
So we're talking like different alien species, beings from other dimensions,
Yeah.
time travelers. My brain's like officially melted now. This is a lot to take in.
I know, right? It's pretty mind-blowing. But that's what makes this topic so fascinating. It really makes you question everything you thought you knew,
Okay, so maybe we're dealing with different like categories of extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
And they all have their own like ways of getting around. But the blog also talks about how a bunch of different indigenous tribes, like the Karo, they have all these like origin stories that connect them to other planets, like they came from the stars.
And it's not just the Karo, right? Like you see this all over the world, all these different cultures, they have these myths and legends about star beings and sky gods and visitations from up there. It's kind of freaky how often it pops up.
It really makes you wonder, right? Like, could these stories, could they be more than just like made up stories? Could they be like echoes of real encounters that happened way back when?
Yeah.
And those stories just got like passed down through generations, shaping how they see the universe.
It's a compelling thought, right? Like imagine a time when interactions with these beings, it was just like a normal thing. It was part of their reality. It makes you wonder what really happened back then.
All right, so John, the guy who wrote the blog, he he doesn't just rely on like old stories. He talks about his own like personal experiences seeing strange stuff in the sky, like a silver orb in Utah and this weird light he saw with a group in Peru.
Yeah, and you know what I like about it? He doesn't just automatically jump to, oh, it's aliens, you know?
Yeah.
He actually tries to explain it all as just normal stuff first. Like he's skeptical.
Hmm.
And that makes his story, it makes it way more believable to me, you know?
Really? It shows he's thinking critically. He's not just like buying into every weird light in the sky. He's trying to be like, a good scientist about it.
Exactly. That's exactly the approach we need when we're dealing with, claims this big, this out there. You got to be open-minded, but also, have your skeptical hat on at the same time. You can't just jump to conclusions.
Couldn't agree more. And talking about evidence, John's blog, it introduces us to some researchers who are trying to get all, scientific about UFOs. People like George Knapp, Bob Lazar, and Jeremy Corbell.
Oh, yeah. These guys are, like, trying to bring some real serious investigation into what's often dismissed as, fringe science. They're looking at government documents, eyewitness accounts, even trying to find, like, physical evidence.
Which is so important, right? It's like, okay, we're not just messing around here. This is serious stuff.
Exactly. They're trying to move past just speculation, and try to really understand what's going on based on evidence. Like, for example, George Knapp, he's done a lot of work with these government documents, and he's found all these, like, patterns of secrecy around UFO sightings. It really makes you wonder what they might be hiding and why.
Okay, so we're moving from like personal stories to more of a real investigation. But let's go back to that crazy idea of a tear in time and space for a sec. The blog says that maybe some of these beings are visiting us from like the future or the past through these tears.
That's where it gets really wild, right? And you know what? If we just like accept that as a possibility for a second, it could explain not only UFOs, but also all those other weird things that we just can't explain, like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster.
Whoa, are you saying Bigfoot's a time traveler? Okay, that's a new one. Yeah. But I mean, it does make you think if these beings can like mess with time and space, maybe they can just pop in and out of our reality whenever they want. And that's where we only get these little glimpses,
Yeah.
these weird blurry photos and stories that don't quite add up.
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it? Even if it's, totally speculative, it could be why some creatures just, they don't make sense with our, like, understanding of evolution and biology. They appear and disappear, and we're left scratching our heads.
I need like a minute to process all this, but let's switch gears a bit. John, he brings up this really interesting question, like, why would anyone keep all this alien stuff a secret? Why wouldn't they just tell us? And he thinks it's because it could like really mess with people's religious beliefs.
Yeah.
Like it could cause chaos.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? On the one hand, knowledge is power. People should know the truth. But then on the other hand, you can see how it could, totally shake things up. Think about what happened when Copernicus said the Earth revolved around the sun, or when Darwin came up with evolution.
These were like huge deals. Like they changed everything about how people saw the world.
Mm-hmm.
And people, they freaked out.
Exactly. So imagine what would happen if the government was like, yep, aliens are real. It could be even crazier. People would start asking all these deep questions about like the meaning of life and where we fit in the universe. It'd be a total mind blow.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. But it's interesting that John, as a shaman, he actually thinks all this alien stuff, it makes his spirituality stronger.
Right.
It doesn't like clash with it.
Yeah, it's a good point. It shows that our beliefs, they can adapt, right? Like as we learn new things, our understanding of the universe and spirituality and everything, it changes, and that's okay. It's part of the journey.
It's like there's no one right way to fit science and faith together. It's personal.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to figure it out for themselves.
I love that point. It really is about, embracing the mystery of it all and knowing that, well, we don't know everything. And maybe, just maybe, the universe is way stranger and way more awesome than we can even begin to imagine right now.
I'm with you there. And you know what? This whole conversation, it's got me thinking, like, what is our understanding of the universe? It's just like a tiny little sliver of what's really out there.
Whoa. That is a truly humbling thought, isn't it? And it really speaks to like the limits of what we know scientifically. Maybe we need to think bigger, like way bigger. We need to open ourselves up to possibilities that are just beyond anything we can imagine right now.
It's kind of trippy to think that like everything we know about the universe might be like a tiny little piece of the puzzle, you
Yep.
know?
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Like, we think we're so advanced, but what if we're just like toddlers playing in a sandbox compared to what's really out there?
Totally.
Yeah.
And before we ended that last thought, we were talking about how Shaman John thinks maybe they're keeping the whole alien thing secret because, it could freak everyone out. It does make you wonder if they think we're just not like ready for the truth,
Right.
or if there's something else going on.
Right. It's like they're playing this cosmic game of chess with us, and we're just like pawns. We don't even know the rules.
Okay, so back to Don Manuel. He made that distinction between like aliens in spaceships and aliens that travel through tiers in time and space. What do you make of that? Like, could it be like different levels of technology,
Mhm.
different species, different dimensions, timelines?
It's tough to say for sure, but let's think about the technology angle for a sec. Maybe some of these civilizations, they've figured out how to travel between stars using like spaceships, like really, really advanced spaceships, but still spaceships. And then others, maybe they've cracked the code of like manipulating space-time itself.
So like the difference between, I don't know, taking a plane somewhere versus just like teleporting there instantly.
Exactly. Like one is, within our realm of understanding. The other one that's like breaking the laws of physics as we know them.
And maybe those civilizations that can like bend time and space, maybe they operate on a whole different level. Like
Yeah.
their understanding of reality of consciousness, it could be so beyond ours that we can't even like comprehend it. It's mind blowing. But if time travel is real, then it could explain why some UFO sightings are just so bizarre, like things appearing and disappearing out of nowhere, or moving in ways that just shouldn't be possible.
Definitely. If they're not limited by the same like rules of time and space that we are, then yeah, their actions would seem like totally supernatural to us. Like try explaining the internet to, I don't know, a caveman.
Uh-huh. Yeah, good point.
Hmm.
So are we saying there are multiple types of aliens, like some are more advanced than others? And if so, what are they doing here? Like why are they interested in us?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, we don't really have any solid answers. Some people think, well, maybe they're just studying us, like watching how we develop, maybe even trying to like guide us in some way, kind of like cosmic anthropologists or something.
Like the alien version of Jane Goodall studying in chimpanzees, or maybe they see us as like this younger civilization and they feel like responsible for looking after us.
Could be, but then some folks, they think their intentions might not be so friendly. Like maybe they want our resources, or maybe they even want to, take over. It's a darker way to look at it, but we can't rule it out completely.
That's a little creepy. But if they have all this crazy technology, why wouldn't they just like make contact? Why all the secrecy and the weirdness?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. There are a few possibilities, maybe they're waiting for the right time, like for us to reach a certain level of, I don't know, technology or social development or something. Or maybe, just maybe, they're already here, like living among us. But they're so advanced, we don't even recognize them. Like their tech is so good, it's just like magic to us.
Okay, now you're just messing with me. But seriously, the thought that they could be here, like undercover, is kind of freaky. It makes you wonder, like, what does it even mean to be human if there are beings like that walking around?
Right. It definitely challenges our whole like human-centered view of the universe, doesn't it? We like to think we're the top dogs, but what if we're not? What if there are other forms of life, other ways of thinking and being that are just beyond our understanding?
Makes you feel pretty small, huh?
Yeah.
And it makes you realize how much we'd have to rethink if we ever got like real proof of aliens.
Totally. It's a good reminder that we gotta approach all this with a balance of curiosity and caution. Like, yeah, let's be curious. There's so much to learn, but let's also be careful. We don't know what we might find out there.
It's like we're explorers going into uncharted territory. And just like those old explorers needed maps and compasses, we need our own tools to navigate this whole UFO and alien thing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We need to like sharpen our critical thinking skills, be careful about the evidence we look at, and most importantly, be open to the possibility that the universe might be way weirder and way more amazing than we can even dream of.
Man, this deep dive has taken us on a wild ride. We've gone from like people seeing UFOs to ancient myths to real scientific research, and even like deep philosophical stuff about what it means to be human.
And through it all, I think we've done a pretty good job of staying, skeptical, but also open-minded. We're acknowledging that there are these big mysteries out there, but we're also trying to use logic and evidence to make sense of it all.
It's a tough balance, but I think we're doing all right.
Agreed. It's all about keeping that sense of wonder alive, right? Like,
Yeah.
never stop in the exploration, the discovery. It's a journey, not a destination.
Well said. And you know what? This whole conversation has left me with more questions than answers,
Uh,
but it's also made me feel like kind of awestruck. Like I want to learn more. I want to know more.
that's the best part, isn't it? The more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is to discover.
It's both humbling and exciting. And I think it's time for us to take a step back, like really digest everything we've talked about in this deep dive.
Absolutely. Let's give ourselves a moment to really process it all.
We'll be right back after a quick break to wrap up this cosmic adventure. Man, after all that, talking about UFOs and ancient stories and like the future of humanity, it makes you look at the night sky a little differently, doesn't it?
I know what you mean. It's amazing how all these ideas can like shake up our whole view of reality. It makes you realize we don't know as much as we think we do.
For sure. We've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
from personal encounters and those old myths to actual scientists trying to figure this stuff out, and even like the big philosophical questions about contact with aliens.
Yeah. And what's really cool is that we've seen how all these different perspectives can like work together, like we can take people's experiences and combine that with scientific research and even like spiritual ideas to try to understand it all.
It's like all those UFO sightings and those ancient stories, they're like little cracks in the surface of what we think is normal.
Yeah.
And they're hinting at something much bigger, something way more mysterious than our like everyday lives.
Right. Like we're just scratching the surface here. And those cracks can either like scare us, make us want to hide our heads in the sand, or they can, spark our curiosity, make us want to explore more.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about how we choose to deal with these mysteries, right? Do we run away from the unknown, or do we get excited about the possibility that something truly amazing is out there?
And for those who choose to explore, the possibilities are, well, they're endless. It could completely change how we see ourselves, our history, our place in the universe. It's pretty mind-boggling.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But it takes a certain kind of mindset, right? You got to be open-minded, but also like think critically. And of course, never lose that sense of wonder.
Absolutely. More than anything, we got to be willing to question everything we thought we knew and accept that the universe might be way more complex, way more mysterious than we can even imagine right now.
So after this deep dive, what's the big takeaway for our listeners? Like what should they walk away with?
Well, I think the most important thing is that, the search for truth, it never really ends. There aren't any easy answers when it comes to this stuff. And the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know.
It's kind of humbling, isn't it?
It is, but it's also pretty exciting. There's always more to discover, more to explore, more to be amazed by.
I like that. And who knows, maybe someday all the mysteries about UFOs and aliens will be like revealed. And it'll totally change how we see ourselves and the whole universe.
Wouldn't that be something?
Until then, we have all these incredible stories, these tantalizing clues, these unanswered questions to keep us going, to keep us searching for answers.
So to wrap up our deep dive, here's a final thought for everyone out there. Just imagine that there are beings out there traveling through time and space. What does that mean for how we understand history, reality, our place in this whole vast cosmos? It's something to think about the next time you look up at the stars, And remember, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never ever lose that sense of wonder. Until next time, keep on deep diving.